trust to a mind when you dealing with a broken heart.
This is for the ones that have been silenced. Let's turn them over.
Right. It's like you said about Facebook, and people post stuff. It's like, you know, people post stuff and say, oh, I'm just playing around. Or I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. Y'all think I post my real life on social media? Yeah, right. No, people post on social media. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. You know what I post on my CD cover? Things that mean something to me. If I post a picture of my daughter, a picture of the cross, a picture of my face, like this is something that means something to me. Nobody posts on Facebook a picture of, you know, the first picture that you come to their post profile and see, and either they got their middle finger up, they got some money, they got their behind in the picture. That is something that you want the world to see, because when people come search for you, this is the first thing you know that they're going to see. So it's what represents you. So you can't say, no, I'm just playing around, or that's not really me. No, people, the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You cannot help but come out, or whatever pours out of you is exactly what's inside of you. You know what I'm saying? It'll accidentally come out. It'll come out when you're drunk. It'll come out. It's going to come out.
It's going to come out. If it's in your mind,
Facebook is a great place for it to come out. Like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, it comes out. You know what I'm saying? You have to really listen to what people say.
The sad thing about that is that you can't control it. It's out of control.
It's out of your control.
And I think it goes back to that awareness, right? And I think there are good people out there that are trying to create their awareness, but it's overwhelming. The access to knowledge is too easy, and phones are available to to young people like kids, that really easy, that they're influenceable. So they post whatever they feel they need to post, and that's just, I think it's getting worse and worse, to be honest. I used to say, oh, maybe I'm just super old and people are adapting and moving forward, but are we really moving forward though? Like, you see the things that people are posting, and
not at all.
and I see things like,
I mean, I think so. Yes, we are. We are moving forward, because what we're doing right now wasn't in the past. We're moving forward, but not in the right direction.
Exactly. And I would say
it always feels like that we're moving forward and backs, because there's leaps and bounds in time, right? With all this technology that
the technology.
And I feel like until we change that perception, that we take a look at a post and we feel like, first, it's not genuine, right? Second, you feel like the actual aura of the actual post, it's just fake. It's very fake, right? Until we actually see posts are getting better, and I don't think we ever will. I think it's just gonna keep escalating. It's gonna be worse. I see people close to me posting things that I again, everyone with their business, right?
I disagree.
It's not genuine, right? And that's just causing more people to follow the same trend, right? And it's just creating this chain of continuous posting, and it's just not
the boat where everybody wants to jump in.
no, it's not generating any positive in the future for that we're seeing now, right?
I'm going to give you some examples of things real quick, but here's what I'm thinking, right? Hurt people make the most noise. They complain the most. Ignorant people complain the most. People that are feeling types of way find ways to express it. And it's not always positive for them. But one thing that I've noticed, like for myself, I don't want to be that person that says, to make it about themselves. But I've used social media for nonsense, right? I've used it for art. Like, I'm a stand-up comedian. I do something called Wells Kitchen, and it's a roast battle. I promote myself. I do, I'm an okay actor, right, Rose? Okay.
You're great. Stop it.
But you know, I'm a filmmaker and that kind of stuff. So I use it for that stuff. But I have a disability that's in the muscular dystrophy family. And I joined groups, right? And I found out so much information about it that I wouldn't have found anywhere else. But you know, a girlfriend of mine, you know, she always jokes around and says I'm international. I have friends from all over the world. So when I post pictures, my friends from all over the world get to see that stuff, and vice versa. So it's all, and I still talk to most of them here and there, and it's all in how you use it, you know. But to attach this all in a nutshell is the biggest problem today is people don't know how to love themselves, whether it's through faith, art, or something else. They don't know how to be themselves because they're too busy following something and jumping onto something, like you were saying. I was fortunate as a kid to not give a shit for whatever reason.
Right.
Like I would sit in front of the TV like this and make noises like and just not care. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a filmmaker at like 6 years old. And I knew my path, regardless of how long it took to get there. But people need to one, learn how to be yourself. Two, you know, I grew up with the immigrant mentality of you can't do art. You have to find, you know, my brother still refers to my craft as a hobby. And I refer to my fist as going to punch him in the face.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna use that in the future.
Yeah. And it's like, but at the same time, I still have people telling me they're coming to my next show. I'm like, yeah, but the next one you're paying for the tickets, you know. I've been doing comedy since 2011. I got people that are close to me that have never been, but still telling me they're gonna go. But they mean well. But I don't care anymore because I know myself. And that's what people got to do. When you're 19 in this country, what do people say to you? Oh, you're going to go to college? What are you going to do for work? What do you, and you're told you can be.
Yeah, they have all these expectations on you, and you still trying to figure it out. In what bus are you gonna get to? In what bus are you gonna get to college?
Told to dream big and anything you want at 4 years old, and starting from 8th grade. Oh, you got to be realistic, kid. You know, they don't got to make a path. They don't teach you to be yourself.
There is something you mentioned. You mentioned something about, you know, these people, for example, that lady, and she has all this group of people following. Now, you got to understand something that will probably set the record straight. Lucifer was the most beautiful, and he had the most beautiful velvety voice. He was the most amazing singer in heaven. He had all the good qualities. He was God's favorite. And look at what he did. So, Lucky, you actually expressed something in the last episode. You said, if the world loves you, you're definitely doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And I wanted to repeat that again because it goes with what we're doing right now. Okay, there's this podcast. I'm not going to mention the name, but it was a really good podcast when it started. They had a sense of correcting the wrong behavior, not just in men, but in women. And it was beautiful. Now, I did notice that they kept bringing these broken women in the panel. And it's like, we're all the healthy women that can also advise them. We don't like to be mansplained. You gotta think about that too. Let me bring some women too that are good in spirit so that they can speak life into these other women. But no, anyways, really good show. It's really nice topics, really good diversity. Now, they got a little drunk in power, I guess. They started to get views. They started to get really popular. And they do lives in YouTube. So when you do lives, there's things that happen that can skyrocket your ratings. But you cannot post it in YouTube after because there's some censored stuff. So this is what they did there. They invited these women, and in the bunch of women there was a lady that was high. So if you're asking something to a lady and you see that she's having trouble answering, and somehow in the slur you can pick up that she may be high or intoxicated, what would be your reaction as a professional man? You'd be like, okay, let me dismiss her out of the show, because she's not gonna be a liability to me. She's also gonna embarrass herself publicly. And I don't want that for her. Right? That's as I want to believe that's what a professional man would do, a man that value his reputation.
What's the behavior prior to the show? What's that pre-production like? Do they have people drinking shots and stuff?
Probably. I don't know. That was my thought process after I said there must be something. Now they would ask her stuff and she would slur. They would let her talk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, take this girl out of there. At some point, she lifted her arms. She had an overall, but she had a tank top under, but she had an overall. And I guess she raised her hands and she had a little nip slip. And do you know what that dude say? The dude put her aside and asked her to remove her overalls for the ratings, because her body was a little exposed and it was sexy and whatnot. But it gets crazy. He tells her to get her overalls off. She's intoxicated, but she said no. She said, no, I don't think that's a good idea, because if I do this, it's gonna. And they're like, no, but do it. They did it. Okay. She took it off, and do you know what he did? He said, take this apple and balance it over your head. She put the apple over her head, started talking. Reflexes are all over the place. The apple is here. She started talking. The apple fell. She did like this to grab it. All her boobies came out. And then he started complaining about that they won't be able to put the show in YouTube because of the nip slip. I was like, excuse me, sir. This is not the first time it happened. It happened the first time, and you told her to take off the overalls. You did that on purpose for your ratings. You humiliated this girl publicly. Yeah. What they will say? Oh, but she has an OnlyFans. Everybody has seen her. It's like, it doesn't matter. If you're in a panel in which you're trying to better behaviors in women and men, why would you partake on that? You're abusing of someone that has little to no freaking sense in the moment. That was kind of like rape. Well, hey, I've heard men saying, hey, no, just drink this. And after a couple of drinks, your inhibitions are down. You're like, yeah. And you just let things happen.
It's abuse. It's definitely abuse of power. One of the things I notice is it's become a trend. This high value man, whatever, they tend to want to hang out with IG models and have a 50 body count, for them, but not women. They want women to have one, and that's them. And it's like, but they always bring around Brittany, whatever, and these other girls. And some of these girls, I see them and they look like on Fresh and Fit, they look 12. I'm like,
they look very young. They look very young. And they are young. If you actually ask them, they're like 18, 19, 20. Like they just popped the cherry now. Like out of preteenhood.
Well, the problem with that is half of them lost their virginity at 11 because they got broken homes and stuff, and the damaged goods, and that's why they're on these shows. But I always talk about being a high moral man, and don't get me wrong, I had my days where I was not the best, but I don't think I've really been the worst, but I had some bad days.
Let's change that statement. I don't think women that are ran through are damaged goods. I do believe they are broken women that have lost purpose and direction.
That's fair.
I do believe that.
I said damaged goods.
I would say, I mean, just thinking about it, and I've seen the show I'm probably like 6 months recently for the first time, the Fresh and Fit podcast and like these different podcasts and stuff.
Oh,
and
I hate those dudes. I mean, I don't hate them. Sometimes they say stuff. Sometimes they say stuff, but then after they say that good stuff, they say something that put them right down there again. It's like, that's why.
But I can and I'm gonna play advocate here because I can understand both sides, because I'm looking at it from both sides. I'm looking at it from a father who's the father of some daughters, and I'm looking at it from the fact of how I grew up, how society is now. If women want equal values, these are the equal values. This is how the world looks, and they're explaining that completely on these podcasts. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the fact that, like you said, the woman was taken advantage of and stuff. But even in that, you know what their comeback would be to that? Okay, we were just talking about tonight how these women are finessing men on these OnlyFans apps. Like, who's going to get arrested for that? Who's going to say bad women now be accountable? They don't have friends to hold them accountable, but we have all of these people in society who are going to hold men accountable. So this is why I wrote whole songs about this. And it's crazy because I know these guys on these podcasts just started doing this recently. I know for the last 10 years, they probably haven't had these views of life. You know what I'm saying? Back in 2012, these guys were probably, how did they say it, squares. They were probably just getting off the porch, and they probably just started getting some money and probably just started getting successful, and girls were using them and stuff. This has been my mentality since because I grew up in New York and South Jamaica, Queens, the same neighborhood as 50 Cent and Nicki Minaj, and a bunch of people. And I grew up in a rough neighborhood. So in the 90s, everybody was a pimp. Everybody was a Snoop. Everybody was a Don Juan. And the thing about it was, you would not, they call them simps now. We call them suckers and tricks back then. Like if you gave money to a girl who was not your wife, who was not your sister, your mother, you would just look at it as, all right, he's a lame. He's just paying for love. You know what I'm saying? And you were looked down upon. Then in 2000, the year 2000 came around, this phrase called "you ain't tricking if you got it." It's basically like, oh, I got the money, I got enough money, so I'm just gonna pay this woman, and that became like more popular. Social media became now it's women are in a complete place of power. You know what I'm saying? And like men are like the underdogs in this race. So these shows like that, like I said,
not really. No, not really. Like that, it may look like that, but not really, because who are the consumers?
Women buy everything.
The consumers are men.
The men are consumers from
on us, the more we will take, because this is a long life battle that we've had. And now for the first time, we have a little bit of power. It may not be the good one, but we still have that power. And it's not even having it. It's the fact that you are willingly giving it to us.
So Rose,
exactly. So men, the only power they have is the fact that they can sleep around. Like, listen, this is not just something that just started. It was like, even in the Bible, let's look at John 4 and John 8. Both of these women, one woman Jesus met at the well. This woman had a rough reputation. She had 5 husbands, and the dude she was normally with was not her husband. This is Jesus' words. The dude you're with now is not even your husband. Like, her reputation was so bad that she had to go get water at 12 o'clock in the day. So there's no shade around. There's no trees. Like, she had and people wouldn't go out in the marketplace at that time because it was so hot. You know what I'm saying? So imagine a pastor out talking to the most famous prostitute in the middle of the street. This is how Jesus looks talking to this lady. People like, Rabbi, are you sure you want to speak to her? Like her, her reputation? And he's taking his time and his opportunity to speak to her, and even this woman who was caught in adultery in the very act in 8, and Jesus said he was without sin, cast the first stone or whatever. This woman was caught in the act. Now, they only caught her and brought her out because they wanted to have something to accuse Jesus of. But let's go over that. Back then, there was no way to tell, okay, women could cheat easier. There was no way to tell. There was no DNA test. So if a woman had a loose reputation, that was just it. Like, you wanted a virgin because you wanted to make sure this seed is mine. I'm going to take care of it. This and that. Nowadays, society is so out of control, and then a lot of the problems still fall on the men. It still falls on us to pay child support. If wives get a divorce, pay alimony. Like, we have so much responsibility. I can get why men are like, okay, no marriage, forget this. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not putting. And I can listen. I've been the bad guy in relationships. I've been in a 4-year relationship. My last relationship, and you know, in the better half of the first 2 years, I was the bad guy. You know, she probably got a little aggravated the last couple of years, you know what I'm saying, and became, you know, more volatile herself. But I can completely take responsibility and say, I have not always been the right or made the right decisions regarding, because in the very beginning of a relationship, and men have like they say, men have the power to give these relationships out. You know, you want to make sure this lady is worth it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times men make women suffer just to see if that woman loves that man, just to see if, you know, you're going to stay around through the hard times and through all the drama and stuff, and see if you are willing to put up with, you know, everything that every other average woman isn't going to put up with. Yeah, every woman is going to put up with some amount of stuff if they like you. Like you said, Ro, with the right woman to put up with everything. So if a woman is putting up with you, most likely she likes you, but that other woman likes me too. So how far are you willing to go? Like, men want to see things. They want to see.
Assalamu alaikum on a different behavior, because I know I'm a sinner. Because I know I'm a sinner. I could be Will, I could be Chris, I could be Still, I could be Push, I could be Healed. In order to look, you gotta be filled with all of his book.
What's stress to a mind?
So now if I say I'm in love, it just looks like I'm crazy.
Fire burning your soul.
When Kevin Gates say we supposed to be in love, it just look like he wavy.
I can't no more.
You can't judge their lifestyle. I've had 3 children. Unright behavior.